Hello, you're listening to a We Will Fix It podcast short with Colin Thomas and myself, James Piecowye.
Actually, starting off our first topic, which is the concept of flow.
Yes.
Which is something that I've used since day dot, literally day dot, because as I've told you many a time, when we started in 2008, whilst I had a basic DIY background, I was not the Svengali of everything maintenance that I needed to be. So I spent the first 6 months just going job to job on every single job and really getting on the nerves of our technicians, asking them every single question and absorbing it. So I got to the stage very quickly where anything that came through the phones, I could deal with to be able to give them a rough outline of a diagnosis, a very sensible discussion in terms of how long it would take probably for us to fix it, and just to provide that knowledgeable face to it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, well, I grafted. It was a lot of hard work, I've got to say. But you know what? It was my business, and along with Dan. So he was doing all of the purchasing and all of the graft stuff, that side of things. And for me, I was the consumer-focused one, and I'm working on the technical side as well. So the concept of flow. Now, do you remember, in fact, I'm sure you've seen on the internet that when you're on Facebook and whatever, you get those little adverts for the puzzle games where you've got to work out point A to point, or all the different options of where the water would go. Okay.
So we're talking water leak stuff.
Yeah, well, no, not necessarily. It could be pressurized water, but also the concept of flow applies just as effectively to electricity as it does to water.
So it's real problem solving here.
Yeah, it's literally that problem solving. And again, for people out there who are trying to work out a little bit more and work out, is my maintenance company gonna get the hang of this? Yeah. And also, what extra information can I give them so that they're quicker and they don't charge me additional money on labor?
Which this is a great point of departure, but this is this sort of tip is the better that you can explain and talk through what you're seeing when you're calling your company who's doing your maintenance. And if as we're going to talk about flow, if you've gone through a process of looking at the flow and you can say, hey, I know this is happening and this is happening, this is where they can go,
You've absolutely hit the nail on the head there. What you're seeing.
Yes,
right?
seeing is really important.
The worst scenario is somebody who says, don't worry, I know exactly what this is.
Oh, yeah.
Because then, A, we've got nothing to back that up. And secondly, without meaning any offense, if after, the 14 years of my experience, I can't give 100% diagnosis, then neither can you.
Yeah.
So give us the information about what you see in as much detail as you possibly can. And then we will be able to relay that to the technician so that way they come prepared as much as possible to be able to fix it in one hit.
Which is important.
It's really important.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
concept of flow. So in this situation, where you would normally use it would be either leaks, which is a good one. Yeah. So I've got a leak in a particular location.
And sometimes because you've got, as I was talking about with a ceiling tile, the ceiling tile is totally saturated and it's collapsed. So there's a big gaping hole now, and I'm kind of going.
So you're working your way backwards, aren't you?
Yeah.
From that location, you're working your way back. Well, that's the concept of flow, which is where did it come from to get to here? And it doesn't matter whether it's water or electricity. That's key.
The first thing I did is I checked the other tiles and I see, okay, are the other ones wet? And I noticed, no, they're not wet. So I was like, okay, well, it's coming then from directly above.
Yeah.
So then I looked at the piping because I can see the piping, and I'm looking, and exactly as you suggest, I'm looking. I get my flashlight out. Fortunately, everyone's got a phone these days. All phones have flashlights on it. You don't have to go struggling to find one.
Yeah.
Flashlight up, and I'm looking for condensation on the piping.
Yes.
I see none. So that's when I'm following the route. I'm going, okay, well, what else could it be?
That's exactly it. But if you imagine every single element of what we do involves the concept of flow. So when we have a plumbing failure, I've got no water at point A. Okay, let's work our way through that system to work out where that issue could be. Yeah. So, for instance, there's nothing, the normal one, there's no water coming out of the tap. Okay.
Been there.
So then we'll start at the very beginning. Yeah. So which is the pump? Is the pump operating? If the pump is operating and I can see on the dial that there is pressure, everything before that pump, we know the flow is coming through.
Yeah.
So therefore, foot valve is okay, suction line is okay, all the way to the pump. Then from the pump, I will then go, okay, what is the first room that this goes into? Do I have water here or do I not? I've got a point A and a point B. The flow between point A and point B. And what we're trying to do the whole time is to get the distance between point A and point B smaller and smaller so that we're narrowing down the possibilities of what's going on. Now, you apply that to electrics. My light isn't
I want to go
working.
back to the water one for just a second.
Okay.
I had this happen to me the other day. Did the flow.
Yeah.
Turn on the sink, very little trickle of water. I'm going, oh, you got to be joking.
Yes.
So I did. I went and checked the pump. Oh, no, pump's working. I checked the valve coming out. No, everything's flowing.
Right.
Got it into the room. And so I'm back in the room and I'm tapping. It's like, oh, it's still not flowing. Flush the toilet. Full flow. Like it's working. I open up the valve. Everything's working. Get out the pliers because I remember the last time that we fixed it. Yeah, I did take off.
So there's an extra little test that I would do at that position, which, you got to the correct end conclusion. Yeah. But therefore, I would then go hot and cold.
Yes.
Because what that will do is isolate, do I have a supply issue on one side or the other, rather than the sand filter. Right. The sand filter's a no-brainer, though.
It is. And I only did that because the last time the sink wasn't working very well, your boys were in changing a valve on the wall. And I said, by the way, the sink tap's really not working. The guy takes out the sand filter. He says, here's your problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
He says, this thing's full.
Yeah.
And I said, well, and that was the old tank on the roof. Which, we fixed because it had a leak again.
You fixed or you replaced?
No. So the tank got replaced.
Yay!
But there was then a problem. The next day.
That happens.
I'm going, oh, you got to be joking. So I go up there and I'm looking at him going, I think the tank's cracked. I think, instantly I go to worst case scenario.
Yes.
You guys dropped this thing, didn't you?
How dare you?
Yeah. and I say to the guys, okay, guys, where the water is coming from, where it looks like it's coming from, is under the tank.
Yeah. Okay.
I went, I think you dropped this thing. I mean, I didn't say this to them, but I'm just saying in my mind.
Oddly enough, even if you drop those things, as long as it's not from a ridiculously high height, they will survive.
Yeah. So it turns out that was not the issue.
No.
The guys came and it was filling too high.
Yeah.
So it was just coming out there. So they fixed that and everything's beautiful now.
Good. That's very nice to hear. Yeah, that is quite a standard scenario. But actually, the more likely scenario is because they would have to put a whole bunch of plumbing fittings back in and you use Teflon tape.
Yeah.
The one that is just really infuriating is once you've put the Teflon tape in, it kind of finds its position and it kind of settles in.
Yeah.
But it gets thinner rather than thicker whilst doing that.
Yeah.
Which means that you've got one of two scenarios. Either if you pack it so that you're planning for that, there's every chance that you're going to crack the fitting.
Yeah.
But you won't necessarily know that until the pressure's gone into it and a day or two later. So come back to shed loads of water going in all directions. Or the other one is just, okay, well, I've got the right amount for this, hopefully, and it leaks through the Teflon tape as well. So it's such a nightmare because it looks to a customer like it's incompetence.
Yeah.
But if you imagine the margins that you're dealing with, and then also on a lot of plumbing jobs, you've probably got 6 fittings that are involved with this.
Yeah.
So your chances are pretty high that it's going to slacken off at some point.
They replaced a whole bunch of piping on the roof too.
Yeah,
because
good idea.
they were just looking at it and they're going, like, this is just not good. Like,
I'm glad that they did that.
I was surprised actually myself.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, you guys have upped your game because usually I have to recommend stuff, but the plumbing dude took one look and he said, no, we got to do a whole bunch of stuff here.
Good. Well, this is one of the negatives about PVC. So PVC, there are 2 different colors of it. You've got light gray, dark gray.
Yeah.
Dark gray is high pressure. Light gray is low pressure. So waste, for instance, out of a sink would normally be in light gray. If you're doing a water supply coming from a pump, normally dark gray. Now, the benefits of PVC are it is cheap and easy to use. So to connect it, you've got nice, easy cement. It's fine. The negatives are it is not good with UV. So therefore, normally you would get 3 to 4 years, maybe a little bit more out of it, but not that much more than that on the whole before it goes brittle. And then you start to get these kind of waves in it. And if you see a wave, immediately get that replaced because it's about to blow.
Yeah.
When I say it might be a couple of months, but more than that. Now, what we tend to do now is, unless we're on a tight job for whatever reason, we tend to use PPR.
Right.
Now, PPR are those green pipes that you see. Now, it's much thicker, first of all, and also you can bend it. You can do it with a length that's kind of 2 meters long. You can do a U-bend with that, like a full U-bend, and it won't break.
Yeah.
We used to do sword fighting with PPR to prove the point to people that you just can't kill it. But it's a lot more expensive, and secondly, to join it, you have to plastic weld it using a special machine.
Yeah.
So it requires somebody who knows what they're doing, and we actually have a whole load of those plastic welding machines. But once it's done, it ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
It can look totally white on top of a roof from UV, and the thickness of it and the quality of the materials means it's absolutely fine 1 millimeter below that. So it's basically a fit and forget type scenario.
Nice.
Very, very rare you need to replace it.
Nice.
Yeah.